What is good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle. Thanks for joining. There has been a push for what people are calling in slang the Delta Stimmy. People are on a change.org petition. I've talked about this actually before on the channel, and they're just racking up more signatures. People want more money. They want recurring payments, whether it's $1,000 to $2,000 a month during the pandemic time, where I still haven't heard when the end of the pandemic might be. So I don't even know what that means. What does the end of the pandemic mean? But I want to talk about the nuance that if someone's bringing up that we need to do this stimulus and they don't bring any nuance to the table, pros and cons, then they need to be educated or they're hiding the full discussion. I am for a universal basic income. And when you see this push for a Delta Stimmy, it's really, to me, a request for a universal basic income, but they want one without having to make the tough decisions. When I read the article about what's behind the push for a fourth stimulus check, it says that for many people, in short, the latest round of $1,400 checks may not last long. This article was written today, August 17th. That $1,400 check is done. It's gone for most people. Probably the smartest place to put it was into Doge, believe it or not, or Bitcoin or something. An issue that is on the minds of many Americans who struggle with joblessness and a weak labor market. I'm not going to get into the labor discussion in this one, but I know that's a discussion to have. Like, there's jobs out there, you just don't want to work them. I fully understand that. Indeed, more than 2.6 million people have signed a change.org petition started last year that calls on lawmakers to pass legislation for recurring $2,000 monthly payments. Most people don't understand economics. And I'm not saying that to diminish the knowledge of my fellow citizens. There's many areas that I won't even touch on videos because I'm not knowledgeable enough. There's always a pro and con, a give and take. If you're going to the grocery store, depending on where you are, you might be noticing some differences. And I've noticed this my whole life. But the people who deliver the products are trying to hide the ramifications, in part, of printing more money. That's the downside of just doing a stimulus. So we're going to get to the hard decision. But this article is from July. Beware of shrinkflation, inflation's devious cousin. Great headline, because that's what it is. And I'll just read a little clip here. So this guy went to the store and he was looking to get a family-sized box of cereal. General Mills downsized the contents of its family-sized boxes from 19.3 ounces to 18.1 ounces. That is inflation. That is a ramification of inflation. They're keeping the price the same and lowering the amount. They could have also kept the amount the same and increased the price. So you can't even just go to the store and say, oh, it's not costing that much more. It might be costing more in some areas, and the other areas where it's not costing more, you're actually getting less. So it's a very smart move to hide it from you. How many citizens really understand this? And the citizens that don't understand this a lot of them are the ones who want, give me more money, give me the stimulus, give me more money. Because rich people, they can weather the storm of inflation better than those without. What do rich people do? I love to follow. Just like in school, when I used to do math and even at work, I see somebody doing well. I kind of like, hey, how are you doing that over there? Can we talk real quick? And of course, I'll share if I'm doing well in any aspect. It's a reciprocal thing, not just trying to leech off of somebody. But what do rich people, what are they doing? You know, there was this car, I think it was a Rimac that came out. It's now the fastest production car. I don't even consider it a production car. They're only making about 150 of them or so. But this car is $2 million. And you might ask, who's buying a $2 million car? Like, cars depreciate, right? No, those cars are in a different segment. They're collector items. So rich people, in particular, in time of inflation, they will buy a $2 million Rimac and put it in the garage and let it sit. There's only 150 of them. So it's a finite amount, very small amount, and they think in 2 years it might be worth 2.5 million. It's an investment. It's not a waste of money for most, not for most, for smart rich people. These are the people I want to watch. Smart rich people, not rich people who are just burning their money. What else do? They take their money out of the bank, or worst case scenario, a lot of rich people can leave their money in the bank, and it will lower in value, but they have enough money to weather the storm of a $5 gallon of milk. But what they will do is they'll buy art, things that don't depreciate in value, that will appreciate. They'll even buy homes, property, or they'll even redo the kitchen in their house. Maybe it'll be 20 grand to redo the kitchen, and the value of the house might increase by 40 grand because the kitchen is nice. They take the money and put it into stuff that will appreciate. So we can't have inflation. You can't just give out money. I hope everybody understands that. Let me know if I'm off on that. It's just basic account. There's other things that factor into inflation. Don't get me wrong. But if you have a planet Earth and there's $1 billion on that Earth and it's a finite amount, you can't print any more, that money's going to hold its value. That's part of the excitement with Bitcoin. So that we have to look at what are the tough decisions that we have to make. Joe Biden recently increased SNAP benefits by 30%. So the benefits will jump to $157.24 from what it used to be $121 per month per person. And we're talking about the food stamp program. We can't do stimulus and bump up the food stamp programs, guys. That doesn't work. You can't do both. You've got to choose. That's the tough decision that people, that's the tough decision that that's the tough decision that these disingenuous politicians are afraid to have. I'm going to end with this. Here is the map of the tough decisions that we have to make. I'm looking at the different areas of expenditure in our country: defense, Social Security and Medicare, welfare including Medicaid, all others. And I see all these different categories, and this is where we have to take from to fund a stimulus or a universal. I think it would be better to do a universal basic income where it's just a permanent monthly fee because we have reallocated the money from here to there. Just to give you a tangible example, let's say there are about 200 million adults in our country, 18 or older. And my proposal right now is anyone 18 or older would get $1,000 per month. And that would just go on, just $1,000 per month in perpetuity, as long as there's a country. So if there's 200,000 people getting $1,000, 200 million people getting $1,000 a month, that ends up to 2.4 trillion a year. Where are we going to get that from? Defense is at 1 trillion. These numbers are in billions. Defense is at 1 trillion. Social Security and Medicare is at almost 9 trillion. Welfare, including Medicaid, is at 827 billion. And all others, which would be whatever other programs out there, 2.8 trillion. So we would need, and this is per year, and I'm looking at 2020. You see, it's gone up in all categories from 2019 to 2020. So that way you don't increase inflation by adding money to circulation. So it's really up to you. That's why if you do it 18 and older, there's only about 200, I think the real number is 210 billion adults. If you do everyone, like a baby's born, they get $1,000 a month. Now you're up to 300. I'll just do 300 million to make it easy to do the math. Then now you're at 3.6 trillion. Now you've got to get another 1.2 trillion from somewhere else. Now you see why I said we have to abolish social safety nets. My proposal is abolish all of Social Security, maybe even Medicare. I know there could be problems with that, but just hypothetically, abolish row 2 and 3, Social Security, Medicare, welfare, including Medicaid. Abolish both of those. You've got 2.6 trillion. Now you can do 1,000, even a little bit more per adult, 18 or older, only for U.S. citizens. And I would not have a economic cap saying that, oh, only people who make under this amount. Here's where I'm tired of this identity. I'm going to You are American. I don't care if you make $1 trillion a year or if you make $0 a year. You're American, you get the $1,000. I'm tired of trying to drill down to, are you black? Are you white? Are you this? Do you make this amount a year? We need to get more things that are back to, you're an American. You're not an illegal immigrant. Nothing against people. My parents are immigrants, but you've got to be legal. You have to become legal at some point to get this money. I'm not for any government spending on this universal basic income for illegal immigrants. Absolutely not. It has to be something to encourage. If they get their citizenship, absolutely. There's got to be something to encourage that and to unite, at least, maybe not unite us, but to put us all in that same group as Americans. Let me know if you think, are you willing to remove money from other places to pay for this? I know people will say, well, what about defense? We spend all this money on defense. Hey, if you can get Congress to lower defense spending, do it. Great. I don't think it's realistic, but yes, absolutely. Instead of having all these tanks and things and guns all over the place, now a lot of them in the hands of the Taliban in Afghanistan, I'd be much for putting them in the hands of people. And that wouldn't increase any money in circulation. We just wouldn't have bought those things. Not realistic to happen, but thanks a lot for listening. Let me know what you think.